Good afternoon, everybody. I'll call this recommending committee meeting of March 17th to order. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are.
All right. Let us go to the first item to be considered, which is Bill number 2009-9, authorizes the administrative issuance of temporary business licenses for privileged businesses, and it's sponsored by Councilman Steve Wolfson, who I just left at another meeting. Yes, we have someone from staff. Jim?
Yes, Councilwoman Tarkanian and Councilman Steinman, on Bill number 2009-9, the request has been made through our office to have the council consider adoption of an administrative temporary license for privilege licenses for a 90-day period. At this point in time, with the exception of all privilege licenses, the ice cream truck, the mobile food vendor, and the reflexology licenses, which we considered quote-unquote regulated because they're department approved. This bill would allow privilege licenses such as your alcohol-related licenses, your massage-related licenses, and other types of privilege licenses to be director approved for a 90-day period. I know in the past several months and maybe over a year there have been numerous times where businesses are seeking to open up a lot sooner than they believe that their investigation will be completed. And as we work with the applicant to move forward with the city council approved temporary licenses, we do essentially a preliminary background check, and how we do that is we ask them to go to the local police departments for a police record on themselves for each principal. Additionally, if they have resided out of state in the previous 2 years, we ask for a police letter or a criminal history letter from the department of the police department where they resided for the past 2 years. So as we move forward with these applications for city council approval, we have some comfort level that the applicant is suitable to hold that type of license. On occasion, we do find that there are times where their criminal history, when it's completed by Metro, does go back many more years, and in some circumstances develop an area of concern. As we do that, we bring those licenses to the city council for discussion and final action. The big difference here would be that the council would be relying on the department to be able to issue that temporary license as council approves today. But I think the benefit would be that the businesses, and most of them, would be able to get into business sooner than they do at this point in time. Additionally, anything beyond 90 days would require an extension by the city council. So up front, we're just trying to make it a little bit more customer friendly with a reliance that we will do our due diligence and provide a comfort level of issuing an administrative license for 90 days. Now, what the bill does present today is 3 businesses which I named earlier, which is ice cream truck, mobile food vendors, and reflexologists. Inadvertently, we had put in there that those 3 would be coming before the city council for an extension of their temporary licenses. Today, as it is, we have the director approve those extension of those temporary licenses and only come to the city council if they are denied by the director, and we have seen some appeals, but for the most part those licenses are approved at the director level. And what we would like to do is make an amendment, which we don't have before you today, to be able to allow those 3 classifications, the ice cream truck, mobile food vendors, and reflexologists, remain at the director level for the administrative license, temporary license, and then final approval. We would need to come back with an amended version or a first amendment to the bill that you have today, and we're willing to do that within the next 2 weeks if the council would like to have that in writing before they move forward on this particular bill. So I'm open to any questions that you might have at this point.
Are there any other information from staff? Any comments from those in the audience that want to add information on this item?
I have a question.
Well, I was going to turn to you next.
Thank you very much. The issue we had up at Cheyenne and 215 recently with I think the bar owner.
Correct.
Would that have been solved by this issue?
Yes, it would have.
Okay. All right. Now, the other issue is if you do a temporary on administrative and you don't really have any police report, but you have information from the application only. Is that correct at that point?
No, actually, before we issue the administrative temporary license, what we do is we require the principals, if they reside here locally, they have to go to the Metropolitan Police Department to bring us back a copy of their police history. They have to go to North Las Vegas to bring back a copy of their police history, and also to the city of Henderson, because we know as the valley grows that these individuals will be conducting activity in all three jurisdictions. So before we would issue a temporary license, and before we bring these temporary licenses to the city council at this point in time, they have to go to the local police departments and bring back a copy of their police history, which is commonly known as scope.
And does that go back how far?
Actually,
Generally.
it goes back as far
As they have records?
as far as they have a record here in the valley.
And so the ones we have heard in recent times that I've heard is that you find something from out of state or something like that that suddenly shows up that nobody had any clue about
Correct.
until the bigger investigation went on. Is that what happens?
That's correct. Right.
And you can't guard against that particular.
You can't guard against that. Now, one of our locksmiths that was residing out of state,
Right.
he did bring us a letter from a city in New York that he resided in. I believe it was Albany, and there was no criminal record of him in the city of Albany, New York, during that particular point in time. But as Metro's investigation developed, there were concerns about his local activity here and some of the complaints that had developed when we issued the temporary license. So a lot of the background investigation really was more current, and it was done locally here. There was no criminal record, but there was a trace of deception in his activity, and that we can't predict.
And Mr. Vincent wanted to make some comments.
Madam Chairman, thank you if I can. I think the primary difference of what we're trying to do here is today we bring temporary licenses in front of you with the scope reports and Jim's recommendation, and you typically approve those temporary licenses today. What Jim's saying is by giving him administrative ability to approve those for the 90 days, we allow those businesses to start sooner. Jim's going to have the same information to make that decision as he recommends to you with a temporary license. And in 90 days, they have to come back to the full council for an extension or hopefully the full Metro report. So all he's trying to do is putting the administrative decision at his level for a very short 90-day period, which is typically what you're doing already. I mean, I think historically, if Jim makes a recommendation based on the scope report on a temporary license pending full Metro investigation, you're typically approving those.
Is this a cleaner situation to hold for 2 weeks and put that amendment on it and vote once? Give me your opinion about that.
Well, I think it may be simpler for you to see the actual First Amendment in front of you, and rather than in concept, but I wanted to bring it to your attention today so that we didn't move forward with this bill and have to make changes following the consideration for adoption in 2 weeks.
I think it would be cleaner. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if I could bring you back a First Amendment, and I'll certainly work with Val on this, at the March 31st recommending committee meeting. I believe Val indicated we could still go forward with adoption and consideration for adoption on April 1st if we publish it appropriately. So I guess I'm asking, is that
Everybody
possible?
okay with doing that? What do you think?
I think that's doable.
That's doable. Okay, probably would be cleaner.
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to obey this item to the recommending committee of March 31st. Is that sufficient?
Yes, when an amendment will be made.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Going on to the next bill number 2009-10, annexation number ANX 27030, property location in the vicinity of State Route 157, Kyle Canyon Road, in the general area between Moccasin Road and Rocky Avenue, east and west of Schomburg Road, petitioned by Nevada Power Company, Nevada Energy, acreage approximately 36.60 acres, zoned RU County, CV City, sponsored by Councilman Stephen Ross.
Yes, this is a long-form annexation, which we don't have too many of, but it's been through several steps. You've seen an annexation report before you twice. You've had a public hearing, no protests, so this is the ordinance that puts it in place.
Seems to me if we can annex and they want the annexation, it's a good way to go.
Usually it is.
Would you like to have anybody from the audience make a comment? All right.
Go ahead. Come on, please.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman Tarkanian, Councilman Steinman. Thank you. I'm sorry.
She remembers me as Commissioner Stein.
I do. It's
Yeah.
habit. But congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I'm Michelle Baltz, representing NV Energy, and we've worked with staff before we even applied for this annexation. And Margot and her office were fully in agreement with it. We are going to be, it's our substation there off of US 95 in Kyle Canyon, and we'll be expanding into the 5 acres that is now owned by the city, and the entire portion of the substation right now is county property. So we figured it would be a lot easier to work with one entity when we go into doing the expansion than having to work with the county and the city.
This one went through a planning commission, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
Did it do it last year? Please tell me it was this year. Do you remember when it was? Was it this year or last year?
It would have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
It would have been last summer or so.
I have to go back to the great abstainer, I guess, on this one. It's back to that same situation. I voted on this at one time. What do you think about it?
I don't think it's the same
No.
situation.
It's
This
ordinance
is,
now?
Yes.
Okay.
I
All right.
think you're okay.
Thank you very much for that.
And did you want to say anything else?
No, that was it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of history on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd love to make a motion. I'll make a motion to refer this to council with a due pass recommendation from this committee.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
There you are.
Thank you very much for your information presented. We'll go to Bill number 2009-11, ordinance creating special improvement district number 1513 via Olivera Avenue and Valadez Street, east of Cimarron Road, sponsored by Step Requirement.
This is the creation ordinance for an SID. It's been through the resolution process. It's been through the public hearing. No protests. It's ready for moving forward with ordinance. We have SID staff if you have any questions, but we recommend approval.
And this is for widening of streets.
Yes.
Now, do we have anybody from the audience who would wish to speak on the street widening? All right, would you like to make a motion?
I will make a motion on this one. I'll make a motion to refer to council with a due pass recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. Now is the time for public participation. If there's anybody here from the public who would like to make a comment.
This is it.
No, we are all city employees. So I now say, since no one wishes to speak, the meeting's adjourned.